Hello everyone and welcome back to AustinPlus, where today we are answering a question because there is a time when critics could make or break a movie. A bad review could hurt its success and a great one could turn it into a must-watch. But now with social media streaming and audiences' reactions, everywhere that influences feels different. So we are answering the question, do critics actually impact the result of movies or shows anymore? I think this is a good question because recently, if you've noticed in my reviews, I do often go and seek for other people's reviews, see if I agree with them or if I don't. Obviously, people are entitled to their opinions, but things of quality and things of shows have cancelled. People are wondering if it's because of critics or if it's because it's not. So without further ado, I thought I would answer this question as a critic or reviewer myself. So let's get into it. So first of all, the role critics used to play, I think, are very different to now. Critics once acted as the gatekeepers for the entertainment industry, shaping early perception through newspapers and magazines and televised reviews. Before the internet, audiences relied heavily on these voices to decide what was worth watching, giving critics a significant influence over the box office, performance, and long-term reputation. So I do believe that there was someone basically started a lot of critics and stuff, and I think we need critics to show, so because some people can waste money on films that I don't think will be successful. I'm not saying critics are bad. I'm saying some critics can go overboard. I'm not going to name names, but some critics can go into films with a chip on their shoulder, and I don't think that's what that's the whole point of entertainment industries anymore. So how has the internet nowadays changed everything? The rise of the internet has really completely shifted the dynamic by giving audiences access to instant opinions from other viewers and influences in social media reactions. Now, instead of waiting for professional reviews, which can also be obviously objective as well, but people can now see the public sentiment in real time, which has diluted the authority critics once actually held. I do think that, these sort of things, I think the internet has a lot to do with it. I do reviews, I do other videos as well, but I don't try. If I do, I do apologize for it. I don't try to always like, oh god, this movie's crap. Like, I try, or this show is crap. I do try and actually look for the good things, and but the reason I don't like spoilers or don't like speaking to people that have already seen a film, if they tell me it's bad, I'm gonna go in with the impression that it's bad. And it's the same with critics. That's why I tend to not like to read a lot of reviews. But anyway, so now this is where I want to bring in the idea. Now, Rotten Tomatoes have done it right. I think there's a audience score and then there's a critic score. Now, the critic score is often very different from the audience score, but also it does make you question. One of the biggest changes is the clear divide between critics and audience scores. So they're giving a voice to people that actually enjoy the film and people that aren't experts, but they know the entertainment industry. I am one of those people. I don't go on Rotten Tomatoes and go, yeah, this one's good. I don't. But I do often agree with the audience score more than the critics one, where critics often focus on technical quality, storytelling, and filmmaking. Now, while audiences prioritize the enjoyment and entertainment value, which I do believe is what you should be doing, this gap has made it more common for movies to succeed with audiences despite poor reviews or struggle despite critical praise. I think critics can really derail sometimes how people are feeling in terms of a film. Like I said, oh, I enjoyed it, but they didn't, so is my opinion wrong? Some people do that, and I think that's such a, you are entitled to your own opinion. If you did not like it, you did not like it. But if someone else did, and you're like, why didn't I like it? You shouldn't have to answer that question. That's the one thing I think why I'm making this video, because someone said that to me. So I think a big question is, do critics still impact box office? Critics still have some influence on how much money a movie makes, but it varies depending on the type of project. Smaller movies often heavily rely on positive reviews to gain attention, while large blockbusters tend to succeed or fail based on their marketing, brand recognition, and audience hype rather than the critical reception. Now, critics are good because they do have the power of word of mouth, but it's just how that power is used. Word of mouth, I think, has become one of the most powerful factors in determining success, with audience reactions spreading quickly through social media, memes, and online discussion. Now, this kind of organic feedback often feels more like trustworthy to viewers that can shape a project's momentum far more quickly than the traditional viewers. Word of mouth, as I just said, is very powerful these days in the entertainment industry, and people don't know who to talk to about this, about these type of critics and about these types of reviews and movies. They're like, oh, did you like it? Because I thought it was okay, but what do you think? That can spark a word of mouth conversation, but it can be constructive. I like this about it, I didn't like this. That's where I think critics can sometimes really miss out. They always, if something's bad, they will dwell on that. Not every film has a bad aspect, and it's just that one bad aspect. It has some other good ones. For example, I did a Super Mario Galaxy movie review not too long ago. I did not like it, but I do know there were some people that did, and I also did appreciate some aspects of it. But that doesn't mean that you if you liked it and I didn't, that means you're wrong. And it doesn't mean that I'm right or I'm wrong either. It's an opinion. It is an opinion. Now, I do think streaming changed the stakes as well. Streaming platforms have reduced the risk of audiences, as viewers are more willing to try a show or movie when it's already included in a subscription. Now, this means critics have less power to prevent people from watching something, since curiosity is often enough to drive viewership. Now, that is the best thing I think that's ever come out of streaming. Best thing they could have done. Best thing they could have done is so that they give the viewer the power to actually make their own decision, which is the point I'm trying to make that throughout this whole video. Now, there's a big fight between critics versus content creators. Now, I'm not a big fight. I'm a content creator as such, but another major shift is the rise of online content creators that do make reviews, including YouTubers and social media reviewers, who is often communicate in a more relatable and immediate way than traditional critics. For many viewers, these voices have become more influential as they feel more aligned with general audiences' perspectives. I think content creators are big spokespeople for people that actually enjoy films, or a big spokesperson for the audiences. Now, often enough, I think, now this is where I do believe, this is where I don't change what I'm thinking, but this is often where it kind of starts to come together. When critics don't like something, when audiences don't like something, often enough critics don't like something. But when audiences like something, critics tend to nitpick at something. That's kind of the biggest aspect. But when critics still matter the most, despite all of these changes, critics still play a very important role in these certain areas, particularly in award seasons, indie films, and long-term reputation, which is fair enough. But I do think that is now starting to shift. Critical acclaim can also still elevate smaller projects, influence industry recognition, and shape how a film or show is remembered over time. A24 for a big example there. The problem nowadays, the biggest problem, is modern criticism. Because some audiences feel disconnected from modern critics, often viewing them as out of touch or overly focused on the technical analysis rather than the entertainment value. Absolutely. Whether this perception is accurate or not, it has contributed to the decline in trust and influence, which is fair enough. So in all of this, do critics still matter? Yes, they do. However, but their role has significantly changed, as they are no longer the primary voice for shaping success, but rather just one part of a larger conversation. Their influence hasn't disappeared, it is just shared with audiences and online voices. There is no deciding voice for this. There isn't. No, it's not critics, it's not audience. There is no deciding image. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. Because in today's world, everyone has an opinion, and that is okay. But without further ado, folks, that is the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe and comment what you think on this topic. But I hope you have an amazing day as always, folks, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Yeah.